one last speaker for the day, and that is Brian Smith. Brian Smith is the founder and executive of EduCert and has served the engineering community, served as an engineer, community leader, mentor, tutor, scholar for more than 24 years. He's worked as an engineering consultant for IBM, GE, Motorola as well, and he has also followed his passion and decided that he wanted to impact our youth. So since for the last 15 years, he's impacted over 4,000 youth in a dozen states and mentors over 100 youth and adults every year to achieve their goals. Among with culinary arts and other areas, he designs and manages creative STEM-based programs. And I'm going to let Brian talk about Plan C.
I'm the last speaker, so I won't take too much of your time, but hopefully I'll end on a great note for you. My name is Brian Smith, as mentioned earlier, and I'm here to talk to you about something called Plan C. I'm going to kind of preface it a little bit with a little bit about my background, also mention a little bit about my NSBE background too. I graduated from the University of Maryland, College Park. I was like steering committee chair on the board, and served as president, chapter president there. Made it to the regional board. I was a regional 2 chair here in NSBE back in '94, '95. Our board, just for significance, we know here in NSBE a lot about the zones. Like there's the terror zone, which is right here. There's the O zone. There's the comfort zone. All right, which is really cool. All right. Let me see. Comfort zone, end zone, danger zone, and terror zone, and all the different zones. Do you know where that came from? Does anybody really know where all that came from?
Childhood.
My board, our board. I'm myself and all of our members of that time, our regional board is the one that came up with all those back in 1994, 95. And the reason why we came up with that is because it was kind of difficult at times to manage a lot of the things that all the chapters were doing from South Carolina all the way up through Pennsylvania. So we had this cool, great idea doing our RLC to say, you know what, let's come up with something that we're going to tell everybody about about zones. And so that's why immediately we just said, let's everybody break out, come up with some cool names, and even do a little chant or make up something that represents that zone. And obviously here in DC, we thought about terror, because a lot of terrorists and so forth, and that's where the terror zone obviously came from. So there's a lot of things, from that perspective. Served on the national board, obviously. Later on, I also helped to start the Phoenix chapter, the alumni chapter, Phoenix, from NSBE back then. And then also been here, obviously a member of the alumni chapter before, and always supporting that from in and out all the way through. Let me tell you a little bit about what this really means, what this is, and obviously the subtitle kind of prefaces it a little bit about how to succeed in the worst case scenario. As an engineer, my major was electrical engineering. I worked for different companies, had a lot of great opportunities, just supporting various people. I guess my background was more so I was in roads, and I was in a lot of other kind of organizations, training you how to be a professional. And for me, I always liked to, like a lot of us, thinking like an engineer, and always thought very technical. About things all on and on and on. And I took that into the professional environment. And some of the things I started to learn earlier on was that number one, obviously being black and being young, I really didn't get a chance to really. It was hard for me to prove myself at times. If you will, I was always met with challenges. And so some of those challenges, obviously, with a lot of white males, older, coming in, right out of college. So from the get-go, I had to really try to make sure that I can prove to people that I understand things and I can smart this way and so on. So I had a lot of different experiences, and this is what kind of birthed this thought process of Plan C. One experience I remember when I was at Motorola out in Phoenix, there was a project that they had. It was on a International Space Station project. It was some kind of a module that had a testing module. So you could do some software called HPV. Motorola had this software and was working. We had different engineers working on this project for about 8, 9, maybe about a year or so, a little bit more, just about. Couldn't figure out. They had a lot of engineers trying to figure out a testing scenario on how to test things. They couldn't figure it out. They gave it to another individual, passed it on to her because people were retiring. She couldn't figure it out. They said, well, Brian, you know, can you help her out? I said, sure. So her and I, this lady, we got into working on it. She got a little frustrated because, you know, with me, because I kept saying, well, I hear what you're saying, but why don't you try this? No, I don't want to do it that way. So she got really frustrated with me. She actually said, you know what, forget it, I'm out. And literally told the manager, I don't want to work with this people. So it was left in my lap. So I said, well, okay. So I started to implement some of the things that I thought, you know, and it took me 3 days, sat, you know, late at work, crunched a few things out, solved it in 3 days. Came back to management and said, hey, here's the entire graphical thing of everything here. And it worked. They put all these different scenarios. They said, oh my goodness, it works. I said, you just solved this thing in 3 days. We've been working on this for almost nearly a year. All this team of people. So it started to click a little bit. Next time I had a similar scenario, I went to Boeing. I went to a consultant here in the area for a Sybase. Had a project at Boeing and had a similar thing, trying to figure out how to take weapons and equipment and vehicles and everything that are made based on one base, and if it moves from another base, or it has a different owner and so forth, how do you track all that? And that's called change data capture. So how do you do that? How do you make that in a software solution? Once again, other colonels and everybody around was just trying to think about stuff. They couldn't solve it. I came in, no one would listen to me because I was the youngest person. No one wanted to listen to me. So I said, fine. I just sat 3 days. Again, this is magic number 3. So 3 days, I'm writing stuff down. And I talked to my manager and I said, hey, here it is. And she said, wow, it works. And she says, we've been working on this for about more than a year here at Boeing. This works. And they gave me 4 awards for it. Interesting, I was a consultant to the company. I was not an employee. I was a consultant from Sybase there. But the youngest consultant helping all these other people, they gave me 4 awards for it. And the funny thing is, I thought, right as we walked into this, is that one of the colonels, that this was for all different, you know, armed forces. So one of the colonels that was there was asking me, he said, so, I said, what happens when, I said, as I'm programming this, I have one question. When you're moving this, you know, vehicle to this base and changes to this colonel on this property, what would you want to see happen or something like that? He says, well, that will never happen. That will never happen. You know? I said, what do you mean it'll never happen? He says, that never happens. We never do that in the military. We never do that. Yada, yada, yada. I said, but I need to know what you want to say as an error message, okay, as we're designing this. That will never happen. I said, okay, so let me rephrase this. I said, what do you want the screen to say? Would you like to say, if it ever comes up, hey, Colonel, this is the message, that is the error that you said will never happen. And he said, okay, I get your point. We'll just say error 101 or something like that, and just say, you know, in investigation or something like that. So, but what I did was that I did something that sometimes we do in college and in engineering. To solve problems, I started to lay things out logically. And I started to lay things out, say for instance, as a truth table. I took all the dependencies of everything that was involved in all the various aspects of what we were doing and listed it out, and so we had to come up with a scenario for every single dependency. And that's how we listed it out. That's how the problems were being solved. And so this, coming back into Plan C, now what does that really mean? Now let's think about, this is about a thought process. This Plan C is focused on how do we think as individuals overall, not necessarily as engineers, but more so, how do we go about solving any kind of scenario, any kind of problem, in any environment, for business, social, whatever it may be. How do we do that? The first thing is that every time we come up with something, we call something called Plan A. Plan A. That's what we think about Plan A. I'm going to talk about Plan A, I'm going to come back to the slide right before that. Plan A, what does that really mean? Sometimes we say, okay, I got a plan. This is my first plan. Sometimes we have a backup plan, right? We say, after this plan doesn't work, we have a backup plan. But Plan A, that usually is derived from human nature, meaning that I'm the one that wants to be right. So this is what I feel. I'm going to put this down. This works. And obviously, if it doesn't work, then we'll come to something else. But this is what we're going to go with, our first plan. Derived from basically us. It's our first line of offense. Not defense, but offense. We're stepping out and saying, this is what we want to do, if you will. The last part is that thinking of it like that show, you want to be a millionaire? This is, you are that lifeline. So it's your butt on the line, it's your thought, it's your team, or whatever it is what we feel. That's what usually Plan A is. And this is, again, how the way we think. But let's keep going back, the backup plan. What do we think about when we have our backup plans, right? We're thinking, okay, well, just in case this doesn't work, we'll do this. Now that's usually sometimes what people call their Plan B. But that's not our Plan B. But then what happens? Plan B typically is, will come down. Plan B is usually derived from humility. So, oh no, it doesn't work. Oh, I can't figure this out. I don't know what to say, how to do whatever. So I gotta bite the bullet, and I gotta sometimes, even as men, sometimes we gotta ask somebody, right?
That's right.
Use directions or whatever. I don't know. So how do we get there? What do we do?
That's right.
Okay? So I don't want to do this. Sometimes I might want to hide who I asked, and just act like it's mine. But that idea may be mine, but it's derived from humility. So it didn't work. I'm not as satisfied, but we can keep going. That's our first line of defense. Okay. The backup plan is our defensive plan. But what does that mean? That's really in, if you will, a TV show again, you want to call a friend, ask a neighbor or something, that's your lifeline. You ask your buddies, you ask your boys, you ask your girls, and whatever it is. Again, socially, what do I do? Whatever it may be, even in industry. But you want to ask somebody, if you will, that's your plan B. So you're relying on someone else's thought process, someone else's ideas on how to do whatever it may be. But then typically, what is plan C? Gosh, some of us don't even go back to a plan C. What is plan C? That's derived from the beginning, right? That's what this is. That's what the plan C is. That's what when we think about this, we're thinking about plan C. Plan B didn't work. Your backup plan didn't work. Now what? You derive from the beatdown. This is your last resort. Usually when we can't figure out a problem, when we can't ask everybody else we can't figure out a problem, then all of a sudden when nothing works, that's when we start getting on our knees and praying, God, help me. This God's in emergencies. Oh God, please help me. I really have a lot of humble thought, a humble attitude then, if you will. But let's think about this though. If plan C is your plan, when you have no money, you have nobody to help, no resources, you're bare bones, nothing, completely. But yet you figured out how to still solve your problem. Then that should be your plan. Let's think about that again. If I was solving a problem, if I had to actually plan an activity, an event, and nobody's going to show up. Well, some people say they're going to show up and they don't. Or we have not enough money for food or whatever. Whatever it may be. How do we still solve this? Whatever that solution you came up with, that actually is your plan. So what does plan C? Now let's take this in different lights. Number one, let's take this from a spiritual perspective. Take it from plan C. What does that really mean? Again, going back, plan A is me. Plan B, I'll ask my friends for help. Plan C, dear God help me. Right? So if God's never going to fail you, right? Then you start here. This is where you start. In other words, you plant Christ into everything that you do first. Lay your foundation first, then you build on that. You gotta have someplace to fall, right? But you can never fall past this. That's where you begin. So in here is where you begin. Then so that means bare bones. Bare bones with nothing. That's where you begin. What is then plan B? A plan B is actually an upgrade. If you get a little bit of money, a little bit of extra help, then what can you do? So if you have a house, you're living in a place that's okay, it's all right, that's fine, but now somebody gave you $5,000 extra, how could you then upgrade the lights or the carpet or the kitchen or whatever you want to do? What else could you do? But plan A, what does plan A end up being? Plan A then really is your dream. If you have an unlimited amount of money, unlimited amount of help, unlimited amount of everything, what could you then do? That's the thought process of what plan C is all about. This is about being able to do anything that you want to do, if you will, but only if you know how to do it. But it's a certain thought process. Now let me go back a couple slides. Let me go back. This is about out-of-the-box thinking. You know about that show MacGyver? Does anybody remember MacGyver?
Yeah.
So MacGyver is one of my favorite shows a long time ago. I haven't watched it in a while, obviously. But I love it because there's this guy that was able to get out of any situation with paper clips, pencils, anything. Because there was a philosophy that was there. This philosophy I use, I tell a lot of my students when I work with them. That, number one, as an engineer, that first of all, I say great engineers, not engineers, but great engineers prove we never assume. So we always prove it. That's why sometimes it's hard to talk to us. Other people can't understand us. We're always proving things, right? But we prove it. We prove that, yes, this will work, that'll work. We have to prove stuff. We have to prove things that things will work, otherwise we won't get to the moon. We got to prove things all the way. So MacGyver, I love him because he was able to, again, say he had one thought process. And remember this, one phrase, a couple things always remember. Number one, when you're thinking about Plan C, that the answers are always all around you.
Yep.
No matter what. We didn't get to the computer age with a computer.
That's right.
Long time ago, somebody would sit back and talk and say, you know, I wish, you know, I would have an idea to basically get from one side of the country to the next really quickly, you know, and this big contraption. We can sit in it and we can just go right across the skies. Somebody, I'm sure, said, yeah, that was silly, that's stupid. There's no way you're going to be able to do that. When, again, the answers were always all around us. Whole time, people are talking, there's birds flying right across. With a fuselage and wings. And that's like that. The whole entire time. Over our heads. But it was up. All we do is look up. The point is that the answers are always all around you. No matter what. I learned this concept in Plan C when I was at the University of Maryland. I was going to a class. I was racing. I parked. I was running. The professor said, you have to turn in your paper with 3 ring hole binders. It had to be 3 ring. It had to be in there. Everything. In there. I had it printed, but I didn't have a 3-hole puncher. So I'm racing. I remember this. I was racing to the next building. I went through to the NSBE lounge, right, at the University of Maryland, right? We call it the BES lounge, Black Engineers Society. So I went there. It was like class was at 6:30. It was like 6:15. And you know, he required you turn it in right on time, right at the beginning. I raced right there. I'm like, and I felt honestly, I just said, you know what? If this is meant to be, which I believe it is, I'm going to be able to do this 3-hole punch because the answers are all around me. And I felt that. Some said, I felt the Lord, the Spirit said, go to the lounge. I went there. So I'm looking around. I was like, I'm going to get this 3-hole puncher. So I went there. I looked around. And I'm looking. And there was a few people in there. There was a few guys. They were on to the side. They were playing cards. They just had this fun chill. And I'm looking around. I'm like looking up around this little desk, opening up everything. And somebody said, Brian, what are you looking for? And I said, I'm looking for a 3-hole puncher. And I said, oh, okay. And they said, well, you know, why don't you go upstairs? You know, upstairs at the center's office upstairs, they got a 3-hole puncher up there. I said, no, they closed, because they are closed, right? 4:30 was when they closed. It was 6:15. I was like, I didn't listen to what they said. So I'm still looking around, and I'm still searching. I'm just like, oh my goodness, it's like 6:25. I need to figure this out. I need to get there 6:30, because it is like right across the street. They asked me again, Brian, why are you still here? That's what's wrong. I said, I'm looking for a 3-hole puncher. They said, we said it's upstairs, the center. I said, it's closed. They said, someone's still up there. I was like, oh, okay. And then I raced upstairs, walked in, and right when I walked up, lady was just happening to be, the door was open, happened to be sitting there, and right when I was walking up to the door, she was sitting there like this. And she got up, was about to pack up. Instantly, as I did that. And she was like, wait, are you still open? She said, no, I'm about to close. I said, you have a 3-hole puncher? She said, I'm sitting right here. I was like, I can't believe this. I went 3-hole puncher, ran on, turned on my paper. And again, it made me feel and remember the fact that, again, the answers are always there. All around you, no matter what. The question is how did you define the problem? Is the problem that I don't have access to, or I don't own a 3-hole puncher, or is the problem that I didn't know about all the other resources around me that may have? That's what I started to figure out in out-of-the-box thinking. I have to figure that out. The last part in this Plan C here is Star Trek. How many Star Trek fans do we have? Okay, a lot of us, right? Great, I feel good in a room with people who are techies, right, a little bit. So let's think about Captain Kirk. I like Captain Kirk, I really do. One of the reasons why I do is because of his way of thinking. He's somebody that always is getting into situations but able to get out of them very quickly. When he was, if you know a little bit, when he became captain, he passed this test. It was supposed to be a test. He was supposed to pass. And what he did was, in so many words, you know, it was just called this no-win scenario kind of test. A lot of people couldn't pass. The scenario was supposed to be that he's supposed to give himself up, kill himself, or die, or whatever like that, you know, to teach him a certain lesson. But he didn't accept that. So what did he do? He went back and rewrote the test.
That's right.
And then when he took it, he didn't tell anybody he did it, obviously. Then when he took it, he passed it. He was chilling, relaxing. He was like, relaxing and everything. He knew what was going to happen. And then, at the very last minute, He said, do this, push this, do this, do this, boom. They didn't know why, but he did, and he passed the test. They felt like that was unfair, right? Oh, you cheated. But actually, he didn't cheat. You know what he actually did? He actually carved a way out of the situation before he walked into it.
Right.
That's what he did. And the only way he did that because he knew he was walking into a no-win scenario, what somebody called a no-win scenario. So a no-win scenario really is a scenario when you didn't plan for it, usually, and you really have no resources. But how can it be a no-win scenario when you can prepare for it? How can it be that? So therefore, that comes back to this plan C and the real thought process here, which is, in plan C, this is your bare bones. This is the thinking, if you will, when you come back. And so when you start to plan things in your life or whatever it may be, this is the thing that I've learned through my organization, my nonprofit, how to keep it sustained. We've been in business for 19 years now. And it has been a lot of ups and downs like everybody has, but we're still here. And the reason why is because of this plan C thinking. We're not built on things that people can take away from us. We're not built on things that people can say, well, how do you do this, how do you do that? Because if we're dependent upon a lot of external things out there, then we'll never really succeed. Our focus really here is saying that whatever that we can't take away, whatever you can't take away, that's what it is that we're going to be basing ourselves on. And so plan C is really about that thought process. And there's a lot that goes into it. You can go deeper and deeper, if you will. Like, let me give you one example, which I think a lot of us can relate to. We'll kind of wrap it up again. So that's my last example. A cookout. A lot of us have been to a cookout. So what we typically do sometimes, you may say, you know, I want to go, and well, we're going to eat when we're there. What does plan A say? Well, we'll eat when we get there. What's plan B? What happens if food's not ready, food doesn't taste good? What do you usually do?
Eat before you go.
Eat before you, right. Exactly, that's one of the scenarios here. Right. You can go all the way down and figure out what to do. You can be hungry. It's like the Snickers commercial, you know, you're not you when you're hungry, right?
That's
so
right.
You don't want to be that person there. Plan C basically says, obviously, yes, you're going to a food function, but it's best to eat before you go, just like I said. Why? Because you don't want to be hungry. You can't predict what can happen by the time you get there, if you will. So you always have something ready, just in case. You confirm the fact that people will let you down. People can, they will, and even there are people out there that will let you down because they will let you down. There are people out there will let you down because they don't realize that they're letting you down. There's a lot of reasons why that may happen. So what you do is you guarantee your success, and that's you. And you are that plan C. Remember, you are the solution. So when something needs to be done, you figure out how you can do it. Teach yourself a little bit. How can I solve it? Then let people know that you are now, that your plan C, whatever your solution is, doesn't exist. Take that off the table and then focus on everything else. And that's actually how you supersede your goals. That's how you always stand on top. So when people think, oh, you can't do this, that's fine. That's your advantage, if you will. So in closing, plan A, plan B, plan C. Plan C is the way, is a new way, a different way of thinking about how to solve any problem that you want to have. And the engineers, hopefully we can do it. Thank you.
I was told we kind of have to hurry up and leave. We ain't got to go home, but we got to get up out of here. So first of all, I just want to give mad kudos to speakers today. I've been trying for like the last 10 years to do something like this where we can get our own chapter NSBE members to come up and actually talk about their passions. You know, we're always trying to bring in professional development. We have the skills, we have the knowledge to be our own professional development, to share it with the public. So, we have certificates and we have gifts for all our speakers, presentations, and once again, thank you. I'll work with Harold to make sure that we can get copies of the videos to y'all for your speakers, because that's important. And thank you.